I'm a born marketer, so my interest in marketing started as early as I can remember. Formal degree in marketing is the worst way to become a marketer. When I left that full-time job, within 2 months, it's like I gave myself a 20% raise. Boom, you got your customers. That's how I did it. I had cash flow from day one.
Hey everyone, today I have Naresh Vissa, the founder and CEO of Krish Media and Marketing, a full-service digital media and marketing agency and solutions provider. Naresh has worked with various big names, including CNN Radio, Clear Channel Communications, JP Morgan, and many more. Naresh has also written a variety of books, including 50 Shades of Marketing, Whip Your Business into Shape and Dominate Competition, Podcastnomics, a book of podcasting to make you millions, and Naresh is also co-host of Work From Home Show podcast. Naresh, thank you so much for your time. First of all, thank you for coming and joining.
Fabio, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm looking forward to the discussion about marketing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Perhaps you can give us a bit of a background where everything started, your story of when you started from being the CEO and the founder of a media marketing firm to, or even before that, when did you actually started, or when was your interest in marketing per se?
I think I'm a born marketer, so my interest in marketing started as early as I can remember. Now, I did not go to school specifically to study marketing. To give you a background of my degrees, my formal education, I have degrees in public communications, broadcast and digital journalism, finance, accounting, management, and business. Those are undergraduate and graduate masters. All of those are related to marketing, but I never got a formal degree in marketing. In fact, I think getting a formal degree in marketing is the worst way to become a marketer because you don't actually learn how to market. You learn all this academic macro marketing stuff. So anyway, my interests were in those fields and I pursued them. I knocked my education out of the way and started working full time after having some experience, like you mentioned in the intro, after having experience at big corporations like CNN and JP Morgan Chase, Clear Channel Communications, etc. I went to a mid-sized company that was probably the largest financial marketing and publishing firm in the world. That's where I learned the nitty-gritty of not just marketing, but technology, automation, data analytics. Because today, and even back then in 2011, when I joined that company, marketing and technology, you can't do marketing without the technology. You can do technology without the marketing, but marketing has merged with technology to automate the process and to make decisions easier. So you have data, like I said, data analytics, and those decisions can be made through technology. That's a little bit about my journey from being born, my interests into the marketing field. I left that company in 2013, started Krish Media and Marketing almost 9 years ago, coming up on 9 years. Wow. Started that company 9 years ago in my home, not my home, but my apartment condo in close to downtown Baltimore. Started it from the couch there and have been remote working from home ever since. Yes, I've been making a living doing marketing and running Krish Media and Marketing since 2013. It's been good. It pays the bills. It pays for my lifestyle. And I'm also a stay-at-home dad, so it's allowed me the freedom to stay at home and take care of my children.
And these days, I mean, how did you see, or how did you actually cope with all this situation with the shutdowns back in a year ago? given even that you were working from home, I guess. How did you see it, at least in your spectrum? How did things go? How did actually business was conducted? Did you see any actual real changes, or was pretty much because being perhaps on the online world, things didn't change that much?
No changes. My schedule didn't change, my lifestyle didn't change, my clientele didn't change. Of course, we've picked up new clients, but I think we would have picked them up anyway, lockdown or not, pandemic or not. So business is good. And look, the lockdowns, they're not formally implemented here in the United States, but socially, there's still very much parties. There's a wave that comes every, I would say, every 8, 9 months or so. There's a big pandemic wave, and parties get canceled, social events get canceled, networking events get canceled. So it's affected my personal life in that sense, socially. But on the business side, business continues as usual. And it's been very worthwhile. And it led me, as far as impacts go, it led me to start my podcast, which you mentioned in the intro, the Work From Home Show. So I started that podcast in March 2020. So we're almost 2 years strong. And we just announced that we've renewed seasons 3. We already knew we were doing season 3, but we renewed season 4 and season 5. So 5 seasons of the show, which is 5 years of the show, really. And right now it's 1 episode per week.
And how the idea of just coming up with that podcast, was it simply because of the pandemic, or was it already on a pipeline?
It was simply because of the pandemic. When I saw that the first lockdown was happening, I knew this was going to be permanent, in the sense of it wasn't just New York City that was going to lock down, the rest of the United States and the world was going to lock down. And I knew that this fear of the virus was not going away anytime soon. Forget about the virus, but the fear of the virus was not going away for at least 2 years, and that people would be forced to or would request to work from home. I knew that we were seeing a societal change for the better.
Very cool. In terms of coming back to Chrissy Media, what was perhaps your first, I guess, strategy to acquire clients itself? Did you basically did a market research before, or did you already have someone in mind that you knew that that type of client, company, person would be interested in your services? Can you perhaps guide me or guide us on what was your strategy, perhaps your framework on approaching these clients?
So I always tell people who ask me questions like this, I say, look, don't quit your full time job. I brought up earlier that I had a full time job. And when I left that full time job, within 2 months, it's like I gave myself a 20% raise. Why is that? Because it was a side business. I started the business on the side as a hobby way back in 2008. I didn't leave my company until 2013. So I had about 5 years, we'll say 4.5 years, to build up my side business. And so who are my clients? They were folks who I built up over 5 years, plus the company I was working at, their competitors became my clients.
That must have been an awkward position.
They're fine with it. We parted ways and they were okay with it. And then my former employer became a client many years later, maybe 4 years after that. They became a client as well. So your best clients are going to be existing employers, former employers, competitors to your employers. They're all potential clients. And start a side business and boom, you got your customers right there. That's how I did it. I had cash flow from day one.
Very cool. So it was basically word of mouth, I guess, then. Pretty much
It
a
was,
lot
I
of
wouldn't say word of
the
mouth, but I would say my network that I created. So that's how I got started. Then once the business was up and running, let's say 3, 4 years down the line, I created a referral program. So anytime we do good work, I tell the client, I say, hey, would love your referral. We'll give you a discount, some kind of credit on the next project we do for you. And so our clients themselves have tens of clients, if not hundreds or thousands of clients. So then they refer, and that's how the business grows from there.
And so, in terms of the services that you provide, perhaps you can illustrate us what was the first product that you had to create or develop, perhaps, and then sell it to the actual and to the clients that you were serving. For instance, if you had your first client, you had to provide a certain service. How did that happen?
Two things. Number one, check out our website, Krish, Krish, mediamarketing.com, krishmediamarketing.com. You can see everything we do there, all the services that we provide. Number two, I started out offering just one service way back in 2008, like we talked about. It was one service, and that was actually AM, FM radio production services. That included editing of audio, it included guest booking and content creation for radio shows. When podcasting started to become more ubiquitous in 2011, I started picking up podcasting clients. And that's how I was able to grow the business. So I started out really on the media production side, we can call it that. When I got that experience in online and digital marketing and technology, then I added on affiliate marketing as one of the services, as well as marketing strategy, general marketing strategy. So by the time I started my company in 2013, there were really maybe 4 or 5 services that I personally offered. It was podcast production, content creation, copywriting, marketing management, and affiliate marketing. So that was in 2013. And then clients started asking me, hey, can you also do web design, which I didn't do. Can you do web design? Can you do web development? Can you do pay-per-click? Can you do online reputation management? And that's how I was able to grow my business even more, because then I went out and hired people who could do those things. And now if you go to krishmediamarketing.com, you can see all the great things that all the great services we offer.
And so, do you normally outsource a lot of the products?
Yes.
Meaning, so that's how you actually were able to, for instance, scale your business to a
Scale.
higher. Very interesting. And obviously, you've done a lot of books as well, which I'm very interesting actually to understand. I mean, writing a book is a lot of work, right?
It's absolutely a lot of work because it requires actually writing. And then we have an arm of Krish Media and Marketing, which is Krish Publishing. That's our publishing arm. We do Kindle, paperback, hardback, audiobook. So we go through the entire publishing process, not just for my books, but we have client books as well who we take on and help publish and promote and market those books. I also want to bring something up. You talked about outsourcing. That's the key to scale. I have a team that handles a bulk of the work. They do a great job in these various services that we offer. And I just want to mention that the most common question I get is, where do you find these people? How do you pay them? This was back in 2013 when I started outsourcing. And then about 2015 when I said, hey, I'm going to do this permanently. It's not going to be just me. I'm going to outsource and build up these contracted teams. I use websites like Fiverr, Elance, Odesk. Now it's called Upwork, freelance.com. You use these freelance websites to find good people because you can see their reviews and you hire them. And it's hasn't been a hit or miss. Like I would say 95% of the time it's been a fruitful experience. Early on, when I started doing this, I had to figure it out. I had to figure out how to hire the right people, because that can be a problem. If you hire the wrong person, they can screw up an entire website and disappear and take your money. So these sites are great. They're really good. I'm bullish on these sites, on these platforms to find good talent overseas.
And coming back to the writing the book, so let's say if I wanted to start writing a book and I would become one of your clients, how long or what would be the actual process that you would tell a client to do, and probably set expectations, say, okay, we can probably write this book in, let's say, year and a half, 2 years. How long would it be for the actual process of writing the whole book be complete?
All of this is tackled in my latest book, From Nobody to Best-Selling Author: How to Write, Publish, and Market Your Book. I'd love to offer your listeners a free copy of that book if they go to my website, nareshvissa.com, get on my mailing list, and contact me through there. I'll send you a free copy of the book. So, to answer your question, a lot depends on if the client wants us to write the book or if they are going to write the book on their own. So that's the first step to take. It's actually writing the book. That's the hardest part. Everything else will take a month or two to complete. So if they want to write the book, we recommend two things. Number one, they either record themselves through a transcription app like an Otter. So Otter is an app that transcribes what you say into the phone. So you have to create an outline of the book, a table of contents. Let's say it's a nonfiction book, and you create a table of contents so you know the topic of each chapter. And essentially, what you do is create a talk show of episodes on each chapter, each topic, and it's going to be transcribed. It's automatically transcribed. They can edit the transcriptions themselves, and then boom, they have their book, and they can come to us and say, "Hey, we want you to edit it further, and then we want you to go through the publishing process and the marketing process." Now, some clients say, "Hey, I don't want to write the book. I don't have time to record myself and do all this stuff. I want you to write the book." The only way we can write the book is if we set up weekly meetings. So we set aside a day, let's say every Monday, for 30 minutes. And that's what I'd recommend, 30 minutes, no longer than that. And knock out an interview that covers each chapter of the book. So that way I have a transcription. And with that transcription, I can edit it, turn it into a digestible format so that people can read it and understand it. And then my company will take that and turn it into a book. So that's the basic process of getting started.
And this length of time of actually creating a book, would you normally say is at least a year and a half, or it depends on the actual content of the book itself as well?
It depends on the content, it depends on the length. So for a large book, like one of my books, 50 Shades of Marketing, for example, it's I think over 220 pages with a bunch of references. That took certainly a year it took a year. And when I say a year, I mean spending every other day, so 4 to 5 days a week working on the book. Now, there are smaller books, like From Nobody to Best-Selling Author. I actually repurposed a long chapter that I had in 50 Shades of Marketing, expanded on it, and published the book. That one only took maybe a month of working every day, 7 days a week. So it just depends on the length, if you can repurpose something, if you already have content out there, etc.
And regarding 50 Shades of Marketing, can you give me the backstory? Or I find it very interesting how, I mean, obviously, 50 Shades of Grey. Why did you decide to call it 50 Shades of Marketing? And perhaps give us the backstory of why you decided actually to write that book back in 2015, I think.
You are correct. So this is a tactic in copywriting. I brought up that copywriting is one one of the services that I offered when I was getting started. And copywriting is merely advertising text. That's what copy is. It is meant to persuade people to take action. And most times, this action involves taking out a credit card to buy something. So when you bring up 50 shades of marketing in the subtitle, whip your business into shape and dominate your competition, that is an example of a great use of copywriting. What I did was I newsjacked, so it's called newsjacking, where you take a current event or a popular trend and implement it into your copywriting in order to sell a product. So when the my book came out, 50 Shades of Marketing, when it came out in 2015, well, the movie 50 Shades of Grey had come out earlier in 2015, and the series 50 Shades of Grey really became the probably the most popular books at the time from 2012 up until 2014. So you had the book dominating 2012, 2013, 2014, and then the movie came out in 2015, and then the second movie came out in 2017, and the last movie came out in 2018. So you had this time period from 2012 to 2018 where the 50 Shades franchise was dominating the headlines, dominating retail sales, at least book sales, the box office. So that's why I came out with my book, 50, or I was already writing the book and I was trying to decide on a title. And I said, this is the best way to newsjack 50 Shades of Grey series and come out with my own title called 50 Shades of Marketing.
Right. Right. Also, another interesting, I find, I mean, you've been done a lot. Another thing it was that it sparkled my interest was you've got a first degree. Is it black belt in Taekwondo?
That's correct. It's just a first degree. It took, I did most of it when I was a kid. In fact, I did all of it when I was a kid. So I retired, I think, when I was 10. I want to say 10 or 11, 10 years old,
Okay.
maybe. I retired, but I reached the first degree black belt. And then after that, I said, it's time to call it quits and focus on other things in life, like marketing.
But I mean, did actually today there's that practice? I actually did Taekwondo again when I was maybe 12, 13. But I got to I think it was yellow belt or something. My question is, has it the ideas or what you've done or what you've learned within the taekwondo, did it help or did it help any way today more mentally than obviously physically?
Absolutely.
Or and what if yes, then what kind of changes maybe that you've seen that thinking, okay, maybe if I hadn't done taekwondo, perhaps.
I think doing karate, taekwondo, you name it, jujitsu, I think doing that, starting at a young age, the earliest age you can start, most of them start around 4 years old, is really, really good when it comes to discipline. It's because you have a master, somebody who you respect, who you're forced to respect. There's no talking back. It's this proper structure. And of course, the physical aspects are good and they teach you lessons, but it's the mental side that's even better. And what I mean by that is if you're sparring with somebody and you're getting your butt kicked, what are you going to do? Are you just going to quit? That's not going to look good. Everybody's watching you, right? Or are you going to go home, tweak some moves, and then say, all right, next time I'm up sparring, I'm going to do a better job? So putting yourself in such, or putting a child in such situations at the age of 4 or 5 years old, those are situations that really most people don't face until it's too late when they're adults. So you learn a lot about yourself, and mentally you become tougher. You develop discipline and respect as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Another one, Houston Astros. How did I mean, oh, I'll be honest. When I went to US, when I was in US, I knew nothing about baseball, but then I became a fan
Okay.
I was in Houston, but I became a fan of Astros. And then I think this year they went to the World Series.
Yes, I did.
How did you land the big clients such as Houston Astros? I guess. I mean,
Yep.
they're like the big town of Houston, is it?
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah, they went to the World Series in 2017 and then again in 2019 and then I believe again in 2020. So they've gone 3 times in the last 5 years. That's quite impressive. Maybe even 4 years. Um, Now, they weren't a client of mine. I actually worked for the Houston Astros. It was
Okay.
a temp uh, internship, if you want to call it, way back when I was 18 years old. I was in probably the best department they had for an internship, which was their advertising, promotions, sales, and broadcasting side. Really good experience. The internship was not that fun. Working in sports is not as glamorous as you would think it is unless you're at the top, like the general manager or the senior VP or the CEO, COO, president. Unless you're at the top, it's actually quite terrible. And that's what I took away from that experience. They will work you long, they will work you hard. The work is not hard, it's very menial. And that's why they hire a lot of hungry, jaded young men who just want to work in sports and get paid next to nothing or nothing. And the exit opportunities are extremely slim. If you go through their internship program, for example, after the program is finished, they just wish you the best of luck and you move on. It's not like you're offered a job or anything like that. So I got that experience and I said, you know what, this isn't for me. I think the going the corporate route will be a much better career track.
Sure. And also, it's mentioned that you also were involved in Agora Publishing, which is some or a lot of people just see it as one of the pioneers of the response marketing. Can you give us some of your experience while when you were there working there, or I'm not sure if it was actually a work or if it was a client itself, or working at least with them.
I started out as so I brought up how I was working full time at the largest financial marketing company in the world. That's Agora Publishing. One of their franchises, Stansberry Research, recruited me in 2011. And that's where I learned the ins and outs of online and digital marketing. So that's the company that I was working at. And I did a ton of business with Agora Publishing and its different franchises. Still am in touch with them today. They've changed a lot. There's been consolidation within the financial newsletter space, the general online newsletter space. But I'm really thankful for my experience there and for learning that industry.
Absolutely. If you were your 18-year-old self, what would you tell yourself? It's this very moment.
I would,
As an advice, let's say.
yep, don't drop out of school, get your degree or degrees, but don't focus solely on it. Do well, but on top of it, add a job, get some job experience, start a business, work with clients, find a skill that you're good at and charge for it.
I enjoy that message because I think I buy that message as well. I think it's a very good message. Okay, well, Naresh, I think it's been a positive talk here. How do you like to say anything to the listeners?
I like to tell them once again, if you want a free copy of my books, 50 Shades of Marketing, or From Nobody to Best-Selling Author, visit my website, nareshvissa.com. Get on my mailing list, send me an email through there, and I would be glad to send over a special link or a promo code so you can get those books completely free of charge. And my company's website, krishmediamarketing.com, KRISH mediamarketing.com.
Absolutely. We will do that. We'll make sure we give the listeners and the viewers all your contact details. Once again, Naresh, thank you for your availability. Thank you for coming on, and we'll hope to maybe bring on next time, for you can probably take us into a journey in terms of a specific topic that you're actually exploring. Especially there's so many things in the crypto or in the NFTs, but we can do something later on depending on your availability. Thanks again. I guess we'll speak soon.
Thank you, Fabio. It's been a pleasure.